let's be honest, JT or Bennett, the Georgia offensive line cannot stop must be a Michigan fan, our edge rushers. We are going to have them off balance. And as for Davis, all we have to do is run tempo. I do not see them stopping our run. Sorry. So big Michigan fan is very confident.
Do you want to destroy this comment, or do you want me to do it?
It'll be more entertaining if you do it.
Fair enough. You guys have 2 edge rushers, and just 2 that are good. The rest are competent. You have 2 that are elite. Those guys rarely play every snap of every game. So you're going to have certain plays where they don't even have to be accounted for. Georgia's offense is going to basically line up and account. Their play is going to be predicated off of what you line up for on defense, period. If Hutchinson lines up on the left-hand side, Georgia's going to go to the right with Brock Bowers. If he lines up on the right, Georgia's going to go to the left with James Cook. They will play keep away from him all night. He will be a non-factor. In the point in time, whenever you do load in both of these players, Georgia is going to get pushed in the middle, and they're going to run the ball. Georgia's averaged 5 or 6 yards against some pretty massive offensive and defensive line, some pretty massive defensive lines all season. So I think it would be a little bit premature to say Georgia's not going to be able to run the ball. Georgia was able to run the ball against Alabama, and I would wager to say that Alabama's offensive or defensive line has far more 5-stars than what Michigan may have, and they're probably under the best coach of all time. And Georgia could run the ball against them. So I can understand that you want to have some faith in your edge rushers, but Georgia's going to play to that. Now, as far as Davis, I'm going to tip you guys off to this, and you can spend a little bit of time and go check it out. Georgia has played, well, you probably don't know this because you're a Michigan fan. Georgia starts working outside in the heat in the summer for conditioning. If you've ever seen Jordan Davis actually run at top speed, he runs close to 20 miles an hour. So that's not a guy who's out of shape. So he's played in multiple games where we've played up-tempo defenses. We've played defenses that had some big, strong guys, and Jordan Davis didn't get tired. So to say that we're 13 games into a season, all of a sudden a little bit of up-tempo makes Jordan Davis tired, seems a little bit odd. Now, from what I can find, it seems like against Alabama, and I haven't talked about this because I don't want to get the excuses thing. But if you look into it, you'll find that there is some information that there were guys on Georgia's defensive line that were recovering from being sick. That makes you tired. So I would stand to say that Jordan Davis having 4 weeks to completely recover, you're going to see a different guy altogether. Not once all season, no matter who we have played, have I ever seen Jordan Davis stand up and put both hands on his hips in the first quarter. I haven't seen Jordan Davis stand up and put both hands on his hips in the fourth quarter of most games. So I just don't believe that Alabama running a little bit of up-tempo in the first quarter completely exhausted Jordan Davis. And if you feel that way, you might want to take a few moments to go back and actually watch his highlight tapes, and you'll see how dominant he is.
So the one thing I will say about Georgia running the ball against Alabama, I'm looking at the numbers because I didn't certainly look at it that way in the SEC championship game. So James Cook had 11 carries for 38 yards. Kenny McIntosh 4 for 32. Zamir White 7 for 27. So throw them all together and you've got 22 carries for 22 for 97.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's pretty good. Is that 11? Yeah, 22 for 97. Yeah, so about what's that? About 4.5 yards per carry.
Thereabouts.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
So I mean, you if you can run the ball for 4.5 yards a carry against the number 1 team in the country, I'd say you can move the football fairly decently.
And the number 2 rushing defense in the country, more
Correct.
importantly. And I'm sure whoever was number 1, maybe Wisconsin, maybe Georgia. Anyway, the other thing that comes to mind in regards to the comment made here about the Michigan ends that I'm going to be curious to see. Ohio State had faith in its tackles, and they had too much faith in their tackles. They should have given them more help. they have three of the best wide receivers in the country. They were doing all the damage downfield. They didn't need their tight end downfield. He's a really good pass catcher. He's nowhere close to Bowers in regards to athleticism downfield catching the ball, but he'll have a long career in the NFL as long as he doesn't get hurt. But they needed to keep backs and tight ends in to protect and let their wide receivers do damage. Do you think Georgia's going to have that kind of faith in its tackles to hold up on an island?
Well, here's what I'll say is I've actually took the time to go look up the size of Ohio State's offensive line and defensive line, and go look at the size of the Michigan of Iowa's defensive line. And what you'll find is they have like two guys, maybe three. I think it's three on each team that are over 300 pounds. That is a mountain and a mile difference between the size and speed of Georgia. Georgia's offensive and defensive lines are monsters. They're not tiny guys. Most of these guys are 6'5" and above. I'm one of the offensive line guys, I think it's for Ohio State, is 224 pounds. I mean, for goodness sake, I'm bigger than that. So I don't believe that Michigan being bigger is going to have
Ohio State offensive lineman that's 224. Not to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah, I'll see if I can find it. Oh, by the way, for the gentleman who said, there was a guy up here who said Jordan Davis at 20 miles an hour, laughing out loud. Wallace Johnson. Mr. Wallace Johnson, if you'll take a moment and you'll go to Google and check out Jordan Davis mile per hour, you will see that his speed is posted at 19.8 miles per hour. And that's on 24/7 Sports. That's not from me. But I will find that stat real quick. I think it was Ohio State defensive line. And then I went to football roster. The guy was a freshman. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Cornerbacks. There's a defensive tackle who's 305. I'm not looking at the ends. Defensive end 265. Obviously, I have more time than what I should have to be able to go.
Comments, and we'll fill the time if we need to.
Here's one at 245. That's tight end. Defensive end 250. That's a back. I'm not worried about backs. Where's it at? That's a back. That's an end 275. Tackle 290.
James Cooper says Michigan leads the country in plays of 50, 60, and 70 yards. Good luck. The Georgia dude just assumes that Ajabo and Hutch are just, quote, good. Have you ever watched Michigan this year? And you don't have to answer these questions. I'm just reading while you're.
No, fire away. I'm good with it. It may have been Iowa then. Let me check here. Yes, I have watched. I actually spend quite a bit of time watching highlight films and seeing what everybody's out there doing and how they're doing and how do they play. Are they playing spread offense? Are they playing man coverage? Are they playing defense? I mean, what are they playing? Dime nickel package. Are they playing, who's playing star, that sort of thing. I mean, I spend quite a bit of time watching. I'm betting you. No, that's not this one. I'm betting you that it was Iowa that had this guy who's a defensive lineman who's 225. Sort by position. Defensive lineman. Where's it at?
Yeah, if you go by the 247 Sports team talent rankings.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I looked at those recently. Ohio State and Georgia are pretty comparable with Alabama, and Michigan's 9th, something like that.
I gave you the wrong number. It was not 224. It was 232, and that's for Iowa. So that was my mistake. There's a defensive end that's 224, but they have a lineman who's 232 pounds. So that's not huge.